All right, let's uncork this bottle, shall we? Welcome to our deep dive into the world of Southwest French wine.
Oh, yes. Sounds delicious.
Today we're exploring Sud-Ouest, which translates to, well, Southwest.
Straightforward title.
Yeah, no fancy wordplay here.
Right to the point.
It's a pretty comprehensive guide to, well, pretty much everything you need to know about wines from this region of France.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, so our mission today, if you choose to accept it, is to uncover what makes Southwest France so unique in the world of wine.
Ooh, I like a mission.
Yeah, we're going beyond the usual suspects, like Bordeaux. And we're
Right.
digging into those hidden gems that make this region really shine. Southwest France, it's not just making wine, it's practically steeped in wine history.
It is, yeah. You might be surprised to learn that this region has a legacy that stretches back to the Roman Empire.
Whoa, hold up. Romans, really?
Really? We're talking over 2,000 years ago.
Wow, that's like ancient history.
It is ancient history. And archaeologists have actually unearthed Roman villas with, get this, ancient wine presses.
Wine presses. So they weren't just conquering and building roads, they were making wine too.
Oh, yeah, wine was a huge part of Roman culture. And these discoveries prove that winemaking has been a part of this region for centuries. Centuries.
Okay, so we've got the Romans setting the stage, but I'm guessing things evolved a bit after togas went out of style.
Definitely. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and monasteries became major players in the wine scene, especially those along the Camino de Santiago pilgrimage route.
Wait, monks as winemakers? Like the guys with the robes and the chanting?
The very same. But these monks weren't just brewing up communion wine. They were preserving techniques, experimenting, and building the reputation of certain areas like Cahors and Gaillac.
So they were like the OG wine influencers.
Exactly. They were key to putting Southwest France on the map. Sud-Ouest talks a lot about how the terroir of Southwest France is like its secret ingredient. What do you think about terroir in general?
I know it's important, but honestly, sometimes it feels like a bit of a buzzword.
Yeah, I get that.
So break it down for me. Why should I, as a wine drinker, really care about what's under the vines?
Well, think of it this way. Terroir is the combination of soil, climate, and even human practices that give a wine its unique personality.
Okay, so it's like the wine's fingerprint. No two are exactly alike.
That's a great way to put it. And Southwest France has this perfect trifecta for winemaking. You've got the Atlantic Ocean moderating the climate, the Pyrenees Mountains creating all these protective microclimates.
Well, like little pockets of perfect weather.
Exactly. And then you have this incredible diversity of soil types. It's really remarkable.
Soil types. Okay, now you're really testing my wine knowledge here.
All right, so let me give you an example. Limestone is really common in Cahors,
Yeah.
right? And it gives those Malbecs, or what they call coat in this area, this distinct minerality and structure that allows them to age beautifully.
Okay, so the soil is actually impacting how the wine tastes.
Big time. It's not just about the grape itself. So with limestone, you get these wines that can age for decades, developing all these complex flavors over time.
I'm picturing like rows of Cahors bottles in a cellar just waiting to reach peak deliciousness.
That's exactly it. It's like limestone builds in this time-release flavor capsule.
Okay, sold. So we've got limestone for aging. What other soil secrets are hiding in Southwest France?
Well, you've got clay soil in Mid-Iran, which is perfect for their powerhouse grape. Tannat.
Ah, Tannat, the one with like a reputation for being super bold.
That's the one. And the clay soil gives these wines this incredible structure and body, which matches the intense dark fruit and tannic nature of the grape.
Okay, so limestone for aging, clay for power. Anything else I should be looking for on my next wine shopping trip?
Don't forget about silica. You find it in areas like Jurançon, and this well-drained soil is key for the Petit Manseng grape.
That's a new one for me, Petit Mensem.
It makes these beautifully complex, sweet wines. So each soil type is like a supporting actor, playing a unique role in shaping the final product.
It's like terroir is the stage and the grapes are the stars of the show, right?
Exactly. And Southwest France boasts an impressive cast of characters when it comes to grape varieties. You've got this captivating mix of local heroes and some international stars.
Okay, let's meet those stars. Sud-Ouest really geeks out on the different grape varieties, and I'm here for it.
Good, because there's a lot to cover.
All right, hit me with the headliners in red wines.
For reds, you've got to start with Malbec, or Cote, as it's known locally.
Okay, we've talked about that one.
Full-bodied, firm tannins with those delicious black fruit and violet notes, especially from Cahors.
Sounds right up my alley.
And then there's Tannat, the powerhouse we were talking about.
The one with the clay soil?
Yep, that's the one. Super tannic, intense dark fruit, leathery, earthy. It's a truly unique experience.
Okay, so we've got our elegant Ager and our bold adventurer. What about the international stars? You mentioned those.
Oh yeah, Merlot and Cabernet Franc both thrive here, but with a distinct Southwest twist.
Like they're putting on a French accent.
Exactly. It's really cool to see how these familiar grapes express themselves differently in this region.
All right, so for our listener who's jotting down tasting notes, we've got Malvaceau for structure and complexity, Tannet for power and boldness, and Merlot and Cabernet Franc for a familiar but regional expression.
You got it.
Now, what about the white wines? Are there any local heroes to know?
Absolutely. You've got Gros Manseng and Petit Manseng.
Gros and Petit Mansay?
Yeah, they're stars in the Jurançon region.
Those names are new to me.
They're definitely worth seeking out. They bring high acidity, complex aromas, think citrus, tropical fruits, even honey notes in the sweet wines.
Okay, those sound pretty intriguing.
And if you're looking for something a bit more familiar, Sauvignon Blanc does very well here too. But again, with a regional twist you won't find elsewhere.
So even the grapes we think we know can surprise us in southwest France.
That's what I love about this region.
All right, so we've covered the big names in red and white, but Sud-Ouest mentions a few other categories too, like rosé.
Yes, and don't forget the sweet wines. We've touched on the incredible sweet wines from Jurançon. But there's also Montbelziac, where they use this fascinating technique called noble rot.
Noble rot. Now that doesn't exactly sound delicious. What's the deal with that?
I know, right? But trust me, it's amazing. It's a fungus called Botrytis cinerea. That, under the right conditions, concentrates the sugar in the grapes and creates these incredibly complex, luscious, sweet wines.
Fungus in my wine.
It sounds strange, I know, but it's actually a good thing. It's like nature's magic trick. Think aromas of honey and candied fruit.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued. So our listener is now armed with all this knowledge about the history, the terroir, the grapes. But let's be real, French wine labels can be intimidating. How do you actually decipher what you're getting?
It can be, yeah.
It's like a whole secret code sometimes.
Yeah, French wine classifications do have a system, but it's not as daunting as it seems once you know the basics. At the top, you have the AOC, or Appelin d'Origine Contrôlée.
Okay, AOC, I've seen that.
This is like the gold standard. Strict rules about where the grapes are grown, the varieties allowed, and the winemaking methods.
So that's the one to look for if you want a classic by-the-book wine.
Exactly. Then you have the IGP, Indication Geographique Protégée, which is a bit more flexible.
Oh, so a little bit more wiggle room.
It still indicates a regional origin, but allows for a bit more experimentation.
So maybe where you might find some more, I don't know, innovative or unusual wines.
Precisely. And then finally, you have the Vin de Pays, literally meaning country wines.
Country wines.
Yeah, this category gives winemakers even more freedom. It's a great place to discover unique bottles that are often more affordable, too.
Ooh, that's good to know, especially with wine prices these days.
Right. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. History, terroir, grape varieties, classifications. But now I think it's time to talk about the actual experience. Like what should our listener expect when they actually pop open a bottle from Southwest France?
Okay, let's get sensory. What are we tasting, smelling, experiencing?
All right, well, it depends on the wine, of course, but let's start with the reds. Imagine that first swirl in your glass. You get this aroma of ripe blackberries, maybe mingled with some warm spices.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Depending on the grape, you might even get a hint of leather or earthiness. And then you take a sip, and it's like a mouthful of juicy dark fruit and dark chocolate.
Okay, you had me at dark chocolate.
And all of that is supported by those firm tannins we were talking about.
Sounds like a symphony of flavor.
It really is.
Okay, but what about the whites? What kind of sensory adventure awaits there?
With the whites, think bright citrus, crisp green apple. You might get a touch of honey in those Gros and Petit Manseng wines. And it's all balanced by this refreshing acidity.
Okay, my mouth is watering.
Good. But what really makes this region special is how incredibly well these wines pair with the local cuisine.
Oh, yes. The food. I mean, we've touched on a few pairings already, like duck confit and Cahors Malbec.
A classic.
But I have a feeling there's a whole world of deliciousness we haven't even explored yet.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Southwest France is a food and wine lover's paradise.
I'm ready to book a flight.
Me too.
Yeah.
But before we start packing our bags and planning our menus, let's take a quick moment to reflect on what we've learned so far.
Good idea. Take a sip, let it all sink in.
Exactly. We'll be back in a moment to continue our Southwest France adventure. Welcome back to our Southwest France deep dive.
It's amazing how much history and regional character goes into each bottle of wine here.
It really is, yeah.
And Sud-Ouest doesn't just stop at like the what, It actually goes into the how of winemaking in Southwest
Go
France.
to process, yeah.
Yeah. And what I found really interesting was this like blend of tradition and modern
It's
techniques.
not just one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Right,
not just like, oh, we've been doing it this way for centuries, so that's the only way.
right. Right.
So give us a glimpse behind the scenes. What's the winemaking process actually like in Southwest France?
Well, it all starts in the vineyard, obviously.
Of course, got to start with the grapes.
Right. And Sud-Ouest really emphasizes how vineyard management is all about adapting to each subregion's like unique conditions.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Nope, not at all.
Eh.
Winemakers here are so connected to their land.
They really know their stuff.
Oh, yeah. They understand the nuances of the soil, the climate shifts, the specific needs of each grape variety.
This is like a conversation between the winemaker and nature, almost.
Exactly. It's really beautiful. And that philosophy extends to the winery, too. You'll find producers using both traditional methods, like fermentation in open vats.
Ah, the old school way.
Yeah, alongside more modern technology like temperature-controlled tanks.
So it's the best of both worlds.
It's about using the right tools, whether ancient or cutting edge, to create the purest expression of that terroir.
Okay, so we've got our grapes, carefully tended and harvested.
Hmm.
They arrive at the winery. What happens next? Like, what's step 2 on this winemaking journey?
Okay, so now things get really interesting.
All right, lay it on me.
For red wines, a common technique is maceration. This is where the grape juice hangs out with the skins for a while, sometimes weeks.
Hold on, the juice and the skins together? I'm picturing like a giant grape smoothie.
It's kind of like that, yeah. But it's not just sitting there. This contact actually extracts color, tannins, and those complex aromas that make red wines so intriguing.
Oh, so that's where those like deep ruby colors and those bold flavors come from.
Exactly. It's like steeping a tea, but with grapes, and obviously more delicious results.
Okay, I'm following. Maceration is for reds, but what about white wine production? Is it a similar process?
Not quite. For white wines, it's all about preserving freshness and those delicate aromas.
Like those light floral notes.
Exactly. So you'll see gentler pressing methods, cooler fermentation temperatures, and often less oak aging.
It's like a more delicate dance, I guess.
Yeah, a much more delicate dance. Speaking of delicate dances, we can't forget about those incredible sweet wines from earlier.
The ones with the noble rot.
The very same.
Yeah.
Those require some serious winemaking wizardry.
I bet. I mean, it's not just any old fungus that can do that, right?
Right. But Tritus cinerea needs very specific conditions to work its magic. And it's a risky process.
Oh, how so?
You need just the right amount of rot to concentrate the sugars without ruining the grapes.
So it's like walking a tightrope, almost.
It really is.
Yeah.
But when it works, you get these incredibly complex, luscious wines with aromas of honey and candied fruit.
Like liquid gold.
It's pretty magical. Sud-Ouest really emphasizes that it's not just about the techniques, though. It's about a sense of place,
Yeah, that je ne sais quoi.
Exactly.
Mm.
What does that mean for the wines of Southwest France? Well, it means that winemakers here aren't trying to copy other regions or follow trends.
They're doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're focused on what makes their little corner of the world special.
That's what I love about exploring these, like, lesser-known wine regions. It's just so authentic.
I agree.
So let's say our listener is planning a Southwest France wine adventure.
Lucky there.
Are there any specific areas or wineries you'd recommend checking out?
Oh, there are so many. If you're a Malbec lover, Cahors is a must-visit.
I've heard good things.
The Château de Chambert is known for crafting elegant, age-worthy Cahors wines.
Sounds fancy.
They really showcase the region's potential.
And for those who want to experience that bold side of Southwest France, Madiran is calling their name.
Exactly. You can't talk about Madiran without mentioning Domaine Brumont. They're legendary for their tannin.
Yes, the powerhouse.
Their wines are robust, structured, and show off the true power of tannin.
Now, what about those sweet wine enthusiasts? Where should they head?
Jurançon, of course. Domaine Capet is a fantastic place to start. They produce both dry and sweet Jurançon wines that highlight the versatility of those local grapes, Gros and Petit Manson.
Right, right.
It's really remarkable. Each of these producers is contributing to the story of Southwest French wine.
It's a team effort.
It really is.
We've talked about climate change being a challenge for wine regions around the world, but Sud-Ouest hints at a wave of innovation in Southwest France.
It's true.
What are some of the things happening here that give you hope for the future?
It's inspiring to see how these winemakers are responding to this challenge. There's a real spirit of resilience, and this commitment to preserving their winemaking heritage.
Yeah, they're not giving up without a fight.
No way. They're experimenting with new grape varieties that might be better suited to the changing climate, pushing the boundaries of sustainable practices, and they're even using technology in new ways to ensure the health of their vineyards.
So it's like respecting tradition, but also embracing innovation.
Exactly. And it's really exciting to see what the future holds for this dynamic region. Southwest France is a region that's both deeply rooted in its past and looking ahead to the future.
I don't know about you, but I'm ready to book a flight.
Me too. But before we start packing our bags, there's one crucial element we haven't fully explored yet.
Oh, and what's that?
The food. The art of pairing these incredible Southwest France wines with food.
Oh, right. We can't forget about that.
We've only scratched the surface of the delicious possibilities here.
Southwest France is a culinary paradise.
It is. And the wines are the perfect complement to the regional cuisine.
All right, let's dive into that delicious world.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, I'm ready to eat my way through Southwest France, at least in my imagination, with the perfect wine pairings, of course.
Of course.
We've mentioned a few pairings like that classic duck confit and Cahors Malbec.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with that.
But Sud-Ouest has so many other mouth-watering suggestions.
It does.
What else caught your eye?
Well, one that stands out is Madeiran Tannet with Garber.
Garber, now that's a new one.
It's this hearty bean and vegetable soup.
Oh, like a stew almost.
Yeah, it simmers for hours with smoky ham hock.
Okay, hold up. You had me at smoky ham hock.
And then when you pair that with a powerful tannet,
Ah,
it's a revelation.
I can only imagine.
The wine's dark fruit and earthy notes, they just complement those savory flavors in the soup perfectly.
It sounds so rustic and satisfying.
It really is. Perfect for a chilly evening.
Now, what about those white wines? We talked about how dry Jurançon is a classic with foie gras.
Right, a classic.
But I know that's not for everyone. Any other suggestions?
If you're looking for something bright and flavorful, Sud-Ouest suggests Gaillac White with tangy goat cheese.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I love goat cheese.
Imagine like a fresh, crumbly chev, drizzled with honey, sprinkled with herbs.
I'm already reaching for a cracker.
And then you take a sip of that Gaillac White with its, vibrant citrus floral notes, that refreshing acidity.
It just all comes together.
Yeah. The acidity cuts through the richness of the cheese.
And the sweetness from the honey.
It all balances.
It's like a symphony of flavors.
It really is. And you don't need fancy ingredients to create a magical pairing.
It's all about those simple pleasures.
Exactly.
So we've reached the end of our deep dive into Southwest French wines. What's the one thing you hope our listener takes away?
I hope they come away with a sense of discovery.
Like we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, and an appreciation for the unexpected.
Southwest France,
Yeah.
it's a region that really does defy expectations.
It blends those ancient traditions with modern innovations.
Yeah.
Bold flavors with elegance,
It's that rustic charm.
but with this unexpected sophistication.
There's truly something for everyone here.
I think so, yeah.
It's a good reminder that the world of wine is vast and full of surprises.
It really is. And sometimes the most rewarding discoveries are the ones off the beaten path.
So cheers to that.
Cheers.
And all of you listening, thanks for joining us on this journey into Southwest France.
We hope you enjoyed it.
Until next time, happy exploring.